Merry Christmas, everyone in our community. How are you guys doing? Vitaly Dubin is here, and welcome back to another episode of today's In Crypto Show. I want to start with the positive news because we do have a lot of negative stuff also to talk about. I leave it to the end. But let's begin, guys. The market today is kind of going sideways, and the good news is that if you look at a monthly on Bitcoin, the bleeding is slowing down. You can see by the size of the candle on the monthly is not big at all. So we see some slowing of the bleeding right now, which in the last couple days we are seeing absolutely sideways movement for Bitcoin after this bullish engulfing candle. So I do expect Bitcoin have higher chances right now to be going up in value than in going down in value. But time will tell right now. The markets are cautious and they're looking eagerly to what is going to happen next. Are we going to go down or are we going to go up? Are we going to form the even lower low for Bitcoin, or we're going to sideways? And we've already seen the price of Bitcoin going low. I personally accumulating at those price levels and dollar cost averaging, which is a strategy of how you can chime into the market with timely intervals because nobody truly knows what is the bottom. So I'm also accumulating Matic. I think Matic is the project of the year, and it's been performing relatively great considering other cryptocurrencies showing much strength in this bear market. So I'm taking the opportunity to accumulate it. Now, some of the positive news that we are hearing today is Japanese TEPCO partners with mining rig Maker Triple to powering crypto mining. So there are companies in Japan that are essentially using the extra energy to power the mining rig. So that's great for the Bitcoin mining, of course, making it more robust. But we know also that many Bitcoin mining companies are struggling right now, and some even went bankrupt. Another news I covered the last time also, but I want to re-emphasize the importance of this as the banks of the central banks, pretty much the banks of international settlements, allowing banks to keep 2% of their reserve in crypto. However, this is not going to come into effect until January 1st, 2025. So mark this in the calendar because when this is going to come to effect in the beginning of 2025, which is pretty much 2 years from now, we're going to see a massive influx of crypto into the centralized banking systems, which of course would mean billions and billions of dollars added to the balance sheets of the central banks. We also see an expansion of PayPal that is working with crypto wallet MetaMask to offer easy ways to buy crypto. People will be able to easily rolling out from the first to some accounts in the United States, then to all accounts in the United States, and maybe globally later on to essentially transfer Ethereum from PayPal to MetaMask. This collaboration between PayPal and MetaMask is definitely a positive thing for the cryptocurrency, allowing for more use case and adoption. Now, let's go into some of the negative stuff that we are seeing right now. The crypto Twitter is confused by Sam Bankman-Fried 250 million bail bond that he secured. This is the largest in history, essentially allowing him to spend time in Christmas before the trial in his parents' house, and essentially he was not paying any of that money at all, essentially right away. Okay, it is essentially on a personal recognizable bail. What this means is that no money has been paid. His parents put up their home as collateral, and one relative and a non-relative, we don't know who those are, have also put up collateral. All of them would be on the hook for $250 million if Sam Bankman-Fried runs, right? So they're confused about what's going on because he was saying he only had $100,000 left. So how do you have the $250 million? And others saying that his parents, who bought a home in Bahamas, they use the stolen FTX funds to to essentially buy their home, and now they put it in as collateral, and he's allowed to use his computer. Now we just had the leakage of the documents from the court about the Alameda CEO Caroline Ellison that is pleading guilty, along with Gary Wang, about what they have done wrong in Alameda. And she basically is saying, I knew that it was wrong, and he is also saying, I knew that it was wrong. And look at this. From 2019 through 2022, I was aware that Alameda was provided access to a borrowing facility on FTX.com. In practical terms, this arrangement permitted Alameda access to an unlimited line of credit without being required to post collateral. Crazy. Without having negative balances and without being subject to margin calls on FTX liquidation protocols. So they engineered in this system that Alameda would just basically borrow as much as they can and use customer funds. So she admitted it and pleading guilty of that, working with the Manhattan's federal prosecutors. The former FTX chief executive officer was released on a $250 million bond on Thursday. If Alameda's FTX accounts had significant negative balances in any particular currency, it meant that Alameda was borrowing funds that FTX customers had deposited on the exchange. Wow. So that goes against everything that Sam Bankman-Fried said, that he did not know about this, because he was the one that instructed Gary Wang to set up in the coding this type of an arrangement. We also see Sam Trabucco, who was a previous CEO of Alameda. He essentially disappeared from social media and went out of Alameda research months before its collapse. And he was spotted that he spent over $10 million in luxury properties months before the FTX collapse, including a lot of real estate and a 52-foot yacht. Shortly before stepping down from his post as a CEO in August 2022. So did he know about it? You know, what was going on? Because probably he did know, and he decided to just, hey, I'm out of here. What they're doing is illegal, so I'm out of here. And we have the problem with Genesis. Liquidation could force Digital Currency Group bankruptcy. This is the biggest next domino that we do not want it to fall. Because Digital Currency Group is a venture capital company, essentially, that has 5 subsidiaries, which are CoinDesk, Foundry, Genesis, Grayscale Investments, and Luno. Now, Grayscale Investments are one of the largest Bitcoin holders, and their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust has more than $10.6 billion assets under management. So they have substantial exposure to Bitcoin, and right now their shares are essentially at minus 80% down. The share is $8, and it was before $50, $60, right? And year-to-date change is minus 75%. Yikes. So they might be in trouble because Grayscale is owned by Digital Currency Group that is owning Genesis, might be on the hook for $1.1 billion promissory note, right? He says the 10-year note may have been structured as callable in the event of Genesis liquidation. So that's the fear. According to Qureshi, the Digital Currency Group $1.1 billion promissory note to Genesis may be callable in the case of liquidation, requiring Digital Currency Group to pay the note's complete value immediately. Essentially saying there is a chance, there is a risk that Digital Currency Group will be on the hook to pay more than $1 billion, right? And that will potentially cause the Bitcoin to be liquidated to pay this $1 billion. But again, this is at this point just a fear, and it can also not happen, right? We see the CEO of Paxful, where people can trade Bitcoin in Paxful, peer-to-peer platform to buy and sell Bitcoin. Released the letter to the users, the CEO of Paxful, about the liquidation of Ethereum. He says revenue is nice, but integrity trumps all. The biggest problem in the world is economic apartheid. It is the root of all humanity's pain. I want to see a world where Bitcoin frees billions of people held back by this evil system, especially those unnecessarily harmed living in the global south. This is why I built Paxful, to achieve this mission. It's what truly drives me. It's from the heart. So here's the reason why I'm removing Ethereum from Paxful. Ethereum switched from proof of work to proof of stake. Proof of work is the innovation, makes Bitcoin the only honest money there is, where proof of stake has rendered Ethereum essentially a digital form of fiat. ETH is not decentralized, it's controlled by a small group of people, and one day you will need permission to use it. Ethereum had some utility on real use cases such as credit and lending, but it thrives because of tokenization, and the tokens that Ethereum has spawned has been scams that have robbed people of billions. So that's why he's removing Ethereum from his platform. It's going against Ethereum, all of these tokens. And I do agree, there has been a lot of scams and tokenized project on Ethereum, as well as on other layer one blockchains. And also coming from India, the Indian central bank governor, it doesn't change from year to year. Like, they have this crazy negative view of crypto. It says the next financial crisis will be from crypto if it's not banned, citing our view is that it should be prohibited, because if you try to regulate it and allow it to grow, please mark my words, the next financial crisis will come from private cryptocurrencies. So it's not really that encouraging if you are living in India, but let's see how that is going to play out, because right now crypto is not banned in India, right? So hopefully it is not going to be banned. So we do have quite a lot of negative news, but we do have some positive also. And despite all of it, the retail investors are piling in on Bitcoin and holding all-time high of Bitcoins in a self-custodial wallet. So a lot of people believe in Bitcoin for the long term, and they are essentially buying. They're buying at those prices, and I'm buying too. And I think it's not a financial advice, of course, but I do believe that we are in a sweet spot right now for accumulating Bitcoin. So that's what I want to share with you today. I hope you have a fantastic holidays. Go and spend some time, some precious time with your family, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas.